Hello and welcome to Cards and Coaching. My name is Mats and I'm coach, and one of my favorite tools is tarot. I am well aware that a lot of people still believe that tarot is there to tell you something about the future and so on, but there are also many people by now who have a certain idea that tarot is far more a tool to find out about yourself, to work on yourself, and to help you in situations. So I have shown you this deck, which is one of the weight sorrows. There is Rider Waite. There are many different decks. But for what I'm normally doing, it is not going to be one of the decks that I'm going to use. There are other ones that are well established, which is Tarot de Marseille. And yes, this is the version I have, the smallest one, which sometimes I use, but very rarely. And the Crowley Tarot. And I'm not going into that direction. Hannah Crowley was a Satanist and so on. The deck can be useful. The book, which was in here, is even more useful because it really gives you ideas on how to work on yourself, how to question yourself, and to find the right questions for yourself. But for the rest, this is not the deck I'm going to use. So, to give you a very, very small insight in the decks that I have, I like using Ciro Marchetti's decks. Here is one of them, Grand Lux Tarot. Um, then there is Dark Mansion Tarot, one of my favorites. And the one I used from the beginning on, when I started reading the cards, that really works for me, is the Dreidcraft Tarot. Um, I will make a list and put it on Facebook, so if later on you want to work with me, you have the possibility to take a look and maybe choose a deck that will fit for you. So the images, well, you Google them, and the way I go on with making videos and showing different cards and showing different decks, you will find out maybe what deck is going to work for you, yes or no. So I would like to finish a little bit with different um, ideas that people have about decks. So for this time, I'm going to try and answer one question. Can you use tarot to find out about your future? I'm not really sure this is a question you can answer with a yes or a no, because there's so many aspects that are important. The first one is the self-fulfilling prophecies. If you have a catastrophe card like a tower and people tell you that something bad is going to happen, you're so focused on it that you're not paying really attention, and maybe you have an accident and then you say, oh yes, it was in the cards. So this is the kind of self-fulfilling prophecies. I had experiences that the decks told exactly what was going to happen, even things that people could not know. Something quite fun about in the beginning. Sure, I also read cards for a friend of mine who said, "Oh, will I marry that one or that one?" And actually, there was a dark-haired guy turning up, and I said, "Maybe it's not the one you are looking at right now." And 3 months later, she said, "Oh, I met someone." I said, "He had dark hair," and she said, "How do you know?" And it was in the cards. So even more specific, especially death, but that is a different point. That is a card I will come back to later on. And so, yes, sometimes they show it, but I see it a little bit like Jodorowsky. He said if someone comes to you and wants to know if um, the, the person he will fall in love with will come, a good tarot reader says the cards are not there to tell you when that person will come, but the cards can tell you why he hasn't or she hasn't arrived yet. Sorry. And so I think it is far more important to check what is going on now, and especially what is going inside of us, to find out why do we want to read the future. Because 90% of the people who come to me and say, oh, can you tell me what is going to happen, it is because there's a problem now. A person who doesn't have a problem doesn't come to me to ask for the future. So that is the moment that I say, okay, right now there is a situation the person considers to be a problem. And 90% of the time that we consider something to be a problem, we do that because there is an inner conflict. There are parts of us who are conflicting, and one part sees it like this, the other part sees it like that. And that is the reason why we are not knowing how to handle it, and we consider it to be a problem. And so sometimes you can use two cards. What is one part saying? What is the other part saying? And so to clarify it, for example. And that brings a lot more to create a good future instead of showing you a future and believing that actually it has to happen like that. Because if someone asks me, is this going to happen? For example, some time ago, someone asked if his girlfriend would come back. If I told him no, then he said, okay, what should I do? And I don't have to do anything. If I say yes, then I said, oh, okay, I'm just waiting and I'm not going to do anything. But the cards showed very clearly what has to be done if you really wanted her to come back. And he just stuck to this idea either she comes back or not, and you're going to tell me because you have the cards and you're responsible. I'm never going to take away the responsibility of someone who comes to me, the responsibility to work on yourself. So if that's the kind of thing you're into, if you like to work on yourself, find your own power, that you're powerful to work on yourself and so to change your experiences and to change your outcomes and maybe your future, then maybe you will like what I'm going to do and you can most definitely ask for my help.